On everyone, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another stream, earlier one than usual. This is the Premier League preview show up on Tereak Talks. If you're new, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. You're all welcome. We've got plenty of TTF members in the chat already. Big up to Sartvik in the place saying good evening. Big up Sartvik. Big up Social in the place as well. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're all doing well, people. My mom's in the place. G Staffy, listen to her. She tells you to smash that like button and join the Discord server as well. It's been probably about a couple months now. Is it a couple months? Probably just over a month, actually. I'll have to find out. Guys in the Discord server, let us know how long that baby was been born. Big up to you all. Jamie's in here too. And we have Louis, who's a Crystal Palace fan, and they haven't played a game this weekend. And we got Santi in here too. But I'm joined by a special guest, ladies and gents. You may have seen him in the chat, but you TGT followers like Sartvik and Social, you'll definitely know him. And he's a big member, massive Arsenal fan. It's my brother, King. Big up my bro, King. How you doing, man?
Yo, Tereak, man. Thanks for having me on, man. It's the
Thank
first
you,
time
man.
I'm here, and it's a very good day to be here, honestly.
Exactly, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. And this is going to be a good one because, Arsenal, we had a big win on the weekend. We won't go right into it just yet. But how are you keeping on this Monday? Is it all right? Weather's
Yeah,
good
it's
by the
good.
looks of it?
The weather's good, Buzzing still from the weekend. Can't complain. How you doing yourself?
Exactly. Oh yeah, man, I'm all good. I'm ready to talk about these fixtures, and we'll start now. Let's start off with Saturday's fixture, and we'll talk about the first one, the one that you can see at the top. Being as we're both Arsenal fans, we'll get into it because I haven't even given a match reaction or anything like that. But the floor is yours, King. Arsenal winning by 3 goals to 1. What was your thoughts on that game in particular?
Listen, I think the game itself was, for a neutral, it was very entertaining. For an Arsenal fan, it was nerve-breaking, especially when they got the penalty, the disallowed offside goal. For me, the game had everything. It had individual brilliant moments, it had mistakes, it had penalty miss, it was drama. It was a good game and we won. And I'm so pleased that we won because it was so important for what is left now of the season to win against Man United after winning against Chelsea.
Yeah,
Massive.
100%. You're right. The game, the win, the result was way more important than the result. The performance, sorry. And that's just what it is at this point in the season. Performances aren't really don't matter because I thought we had a decent performance against Southampton, but given the back of the 2 defeats before that in Crystal Palace and Brighton, it didn't mean anything. And yeah, I agree with you. This was nerve-wracking. I'm not sure if it was a great spectacle in terms of Man City, Liverpool in quality of football, but definitely in terms of entertainment. I agree, man. And yeah, the first goal from Nuno Tavares. What was your thoughts? Because my biggest worry was the wing backs or the full back, shall I say, in this game with Cedric and Tavares.
Listen, I was worried before the game. I wanted us to play the same formation as we did against Chelsea because we know that United's attack is they still have some quality players. They have a world-class striker in Cristiano Ronaldo. They have a good talent in Sancho. Elanga's shown this year that, he's a proper player. And even though Bruno Fernandes is having a stinker this year, we know that he can turn up. We know that he can stat pad goals and assists. So my worry was always the defense. Luckily, we managed to score 3 goals, but the defense was shocking. I mean,
Yeah,
Nuno
exactly. That
Tavares.
third goal in particular. Oh,
Yeah,
Granit Xhaka, you beauty. He pulls that out like once a year, doesn't he, Granit Xhaka?
yeah, he does. I think I read some stat that he scored 30% of his goals against Man United. So he likes to score, man.
Wow. So yeah, big up, big up. We got some United fans in the chat. We've got Paxton. I don't think he wants us to talk about this game. We've got
Uh,
realists in the place as well. Munzi, who says everyone and anyone can beat United. I just hope that Spurs nick the top 4. You see, a little bit of salt in there.
so
But yeah, the guys have brought up a good point in this game in terms of the penalty miss. Do you think, and I think big up Santi, I think you're right in that. Do you agree with Santi in saying that the penalty miss did define the game, and it was a big turning point for Arsenal at that point because we were struggling, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, if you look when it comes to derbies or rivalry meetings, whatever you want to call them, momentum is such an important thing in the game because it wasn't a structured game. It wasn't a game where you were looking at, oh, Arsenal playing amazing or Man United playing amazing. It was moments, and that moment when they missed the penalty, the game switched again. Because before that, I felt like United were coming back into the game, but they missed and that gave us confidence. You could see the crowd, they were onto them. Ramsdale were onto them. It was just beautiful to watch as an Arsenal fan. And then obviously that momentum gave us the confidence to go on and attack, and we scored another goal.
Exactly, and that was the killer in that game. And I agree with Munsey. Both defenders were wide out, like Tereak's wallet. He's saying, yeah, we were shocking, and I think a lot of that came from the fullbacks, as me and King were talking about with Tavares and Cedric. They haven't played together often. We saw it against Crystal Palace because they're very forward thinking, and defensively, they're not. That's not their game. I feel like they're better as wing backs. If we played with like a back three, but if we played a back three, we'd have been taking out one of our attackers in that game. And yeah, with United's defense, I didn't see the reason why we had to try and hold out. So yeah, it was a big performance from Arsenal. 3 points. It took us at that time into the top four.
Yeah.
And we was watching the Spurs game. We'll get on to the Spurs game now because it's a good transition. But big up to everyone in the chat who's watching. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for all your comments so far. We've got Social also saying grinding out the results, poor performance or not. Exactly that.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
And we don't talk about Bruno, says Jamie. Yeah, Bruno or Odegaard, King, talk to me.
Listen, that's why if you just look at stats, you would think that Bruno and Odegaard are similar or Bruno is even better. But if you actually watch the game, if you watch what they do and the impact that Odegaard has, the skill set, the intelligence, the first touch, the passing, he's levels above Bruno. And
Exactly.
Bruno he's just a volume player. He will just take the ball and just cross it or shoot. Like if you look throughout his career at United, he is not a player who will have 90 plus in ball possession. He misses a lot of passing. He misses the ball so many times. He's a frustrating player. And you can see this year now that, before they used to focus so much on him. Now Ronaldo is there. There's no more a lot of goals.
Yeah.
You can see that he's a meaty player.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly that. And when he's not being involved in the goals in terms of goals or assists, his game and he's so frustrating to watch, I can imagine, for United fans, because not for us in that game,
Yeah,
but
I love it.
yeah, we was loving it because he kept giving the ball straight back to us, and it was his poor first touch which led to Granit Xhaka's goal in the third goal. So yeah, he's not the same type of technical player that Odegaard is, who keeps the ball moving and creates chances. And I'm sure you probably saw that stat as well, King, during the Chelsea game about being having the most chances created in the Premier League since November.
And
And
it says a lot. If you look at our form from November up until now, it's been great. It was just those 3 games where we lost in a row where we were poor. But other than that, he's been amazing to us, and he's so important. He's probably our most important player, because if Odegaard doesn't play, we don't have any creative source in the central pitch.
Yeah, exactly that. He's so important for that reason. And we've seen the upturn in Arsenal's form when he came in on loan. He gave us he didn't have the best of times then. He was still warming up and still getting used to the squad, and we still had that lack of balance in the midfield and in the attack. And since he's come in and he's been pivotal, we've seen a massive improvement in the side. So I 100% agree with you on that one. And look, Social, biggest fan right here. It's about time they got a decent guest on. This guy knows his stuff. And we've got a question as well. Talking about Eriksen, do you think Eriksen could be a possibility for Arsenal come the summer? We were linked with him, King, and I know with Tom, big up Tom. He likes to do a lot of the reports. And in January, there was a few links, and a lot of Arsenal fans, and I was one of them at the time, who was like, yeah, maybe not now, but given the performances he's been putting in for Brentford, would you take him if the option was there?
I would take him. I'm someone who, if we can bring in a player who can bring us something that we are missing, why not? Because he can play with Odegaard, but he can also be a replacement for Odegaard, and
Yeah,
they can shift. Because if we want to play in Europe and we still want to be a top 4 team in the Premier League,
yeah,
we need quality players. And Ericsson has shown that he's a quality player.
yeah.
And he's also shown that he can play deeper now. So it's like he's getting more matured. He's playing deeper. He's good on set pieces. He's intelligent. He's got good tech, good passing. And
Mm.
he's in an age where you can call him a senior player, and we lack senior players.
Yeah, exactly that. And I also believe that if you had an Ericsson, you could play sort of that Manchester City 4-3-3, where you have Partey at the base, Erdegaard as like an attacking number 8, and then Ericsson on the left as well. And with Ericsson, he's very similar to Martin Erdegaard in how he plays, and I feel like the edge that he probably has over him is that he's very two-footed as well. He's very adept at using his left foot, excellent on set pieces, and they would give us real creativity. It's just about if we can get that balance sorted. Tomiyasu being in the side, it'll give us that defensive presence in that right back position, so we can really attack from these central areas. So yeah, I do agree with that. And as Paxton says, Spurs and Leicester are currently the only ones looking at Eriksen right now. So yeah, that's true. And Social's just adding to that point. He's been there, done it, had the heart attack to prove it, and he's come back to do it all again. Exactly that. But we'll talk about Eriksen's side and his former side now, because that's the reason why we are sitting pretty in fourth right now, 2 points above them. Did you watch this game, Brentford versus Spurs?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, interesting. So, what if you guys didn't watch it? There was 2 major chances really for Brentford. Spurs had 0 shots on target, and that's the second time they didn't have a shot on target against Brighton too. So the goals and the chances have really dried up for them. But Ivan Toney, like, do you think he should have taken at least one of those chances?
Yeah, 100%. He should have scored. He should have scored. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. It was a huge which one of the chances, because he hit the one off the ball after he didn't get a clean header in the first half, and then there was the second one where he got a real good connection, but that one hit the post. But with Tottenham now, do you think they're in this rut that we were in, or do you think this could be longer than that, or do you see them getting out of it? I don't know, it's hard.
I think the issue with Tottenham is that they don't have any creative players. So Kane needs to drop down and be their creator. And if you man mark him out of the game, no one can put in that killer pass over the head for Kulusevski or Son to run on. So I think that's the problem. We saw Bissouma, how he man marked him out of the game, and we saw against Brentford again. And it works, The one thing that Spurs want is a high line.
Yeah.
And if you don't give it to them, they struggle. And that's why they play well against top teams, but they struggle against middle table, lower table teams.
Exactly that. And with some credit for Brentford, who were missing 3 of their key players as well, with Ethan Pinnock at the back, the Jamaican international, and their player of the season that I did on my channel, who is Christian Norgard for Brentford. Outstanding, by the way. And I think if we pay Arsenal fans, let's pay a little bit of attention to him, because we're all talking about Toney, and I'll ask King about that soon. But we need a midfielder, someone to sit in there, and he would be a good budget type of player, good backup for Thomas Partey in my eyes. And he was missing, and I'm sure there was someone else in the side where they was playing Godos. No Kanyos either.
Yeah,
the one who scored.
Wissa wasn't playing either, right?
What was that? Sorry.
Is it Wissa?
Yeah, Johan Visa. Yeah. He was on the bench, I believe. He came on. but they missed their 3 key players, and we've seen how that's affected us this season, King. So a lot of credit to Brentford there. But my question is, and Social has kind of set me up for it. Tony, has he proven he's capable in the league yet? Do you think he has proven he's capable to
Yeah,
play in the Prem?
I think if we have to analyze Tony in 2 bits. First part of the season, Bradford had no creative player, and he was the one who was dropping and putting in passes for Mbemo.
Yes.
When Ericsson came in, his role has changed, and you can see that he's a quality player, and he's very underrated when it comes to his skill set. You know, he's a good passer. He can carry the ball. He's not very fast, but I think he's good. If you will ask me, as a second striker, I would take him. Not as the main one, but as the second striker, I would take him, because we love to put in a cross, and we have no one who's good in the air.
It's very true, and you've hit the nail on the head with that that explanation and that analysis of his game before and after Christian Eriksen. Because that's what I've been trying to say to people as well, where with Brentford, because when he came in and before Eriksen came, there was like, well, he's not scoring enough goals, and the goals that he has scored is penalties. But his role is very much like Lacazette in trying to facilitate the side, and lacking in his game because he was setting off the counter attacks from Mbeumo. And if Mbeumo could shoot, I think Mbeumo's hit the post and bar the most out of any player in the Premier League this season.
By far, I think he's like double the amount than the second one on the list.
Yeah. So it's by far, and you are right. And that's with Ivan Toney. Now he's got that creativity, so he can spend more time in the box. He has been proving well and doing good, and he still keeps that hold up play in the link up play. And yeah, for Arsenal fans, I feel like he would be our like Lacazette with the aerial threat, and still have the threat to score goals, because he has a bit more legs, more energy to his game. So I agree with you there. Would you take? So you said you take him as a second striker, was it?
Yeah, as a second. I wouldn't take him as the main one.
So Jesus and Tony, would you be happy with that front two next season?
Yeah, I think they would complement each other very well. I think it would add another dimension to the goal. And the thing is, you can play both at the same time as well, because Jesus can play more on the wing, and he can also play false 9, and he can also play as a center forward. So why not? We need options. That's the thing. Arsenal need options going forward. I think the problem this year that you can see, if we had a proper striker this year, we would probably be third right now.
Yeah, honestly. It's true. Exactly that. Because if we had someone to put the goals away, I mean, it was meant to be Aubameyang, but obviously that all played and that all played out, and yeah, it's disappointing. But yeah, we would be above Chelsea, I do believe, because we create more chances than them, and I feel like we'd have more defensive stability as well if we could score our chances, and we wouldn't be so nervous coming towards the end of games and trying to sit out and bringing on a Rob Holding. But Jamie, moving on, just a quick word on Spurs. Take Kane and Son out of this team, and they're 10th. Yeah, it's 100%. And I feel that's what you said it. Brentford did that well. Brighton gave the blueprint in the previous week. Mark Kane out the game. You'll stop Son. You'll stop the outlet to Son, because that Spurs midfielder, Bentancur and Højbjerg, they don't create anywhere near enough. And Emerson Royale, joke. I mean, there was a lot of Arsenal fans that wanted him in the summer too. And yeah, it's just poor from Spurs. And do you see that do you think teams have found that blueprint?
They should. There is a blueprint now how to stop them. Let's see if they do it, because I don't understand why you would play a high line against Spurs. I really don't understand.
Exactly. It's true. You can't play a high line against Spurs. Hopefully we don't do that when we've got to face them at their ground in, what is it, 6th of May? Is that the date?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's
I think
6 or 14. Yeah, something.
But before we go into this quiz question, Sartvik, I'll just run in through everyone's opinions on Tony. But good afternoon to John and CM and everyone else who's here joining us as well. Hope you're all keeping well. Got my guest King, who we're talking about the North London, the North London rivalry at the moment. Yeah. We'll get into each and every one of your clubs. We've spoken about Man United a little bit as well, but you know, there's so much on Man United that we'd be here all afternoon, and we'll get into your side as well, John, who is Liverpool. But Jamie says Tony, a good player, can see him maybe going back to Newcastle. Tony is a huge Liverpool fan as well. You are right, he is indeed. Ed saying, my only concern with Tony is his touch quick enough for Arsenal. I'm concerned he'd slow down the play a lot. And King, I'll let you answer that. Do you think that his touch would be, and do you think he'd slow us down in transition?
No, I don't think. I think the difference is that you have to look at the way Brentford play. He needs to wait, because Brentford is a bottom team. Let's be honest. They come up this season. They weren't just going to attack teams like Leeds did last year. So he needs to hold up the play, wait for the players to come, and then pass the ball. But I think skill set wise, he's good enough. The question is he mobile enough to be our number one striker? We don't know yet. And also, can he handle to play for a big club? We don't know yet. And these things matters. We've seen great strikers come to the Prem and do nothing. Do you remember Shevchenko when he came to Chelsea? He did nothing. So we've seen bigger and better players not do it. Mentality is so important, especially in this modern day with social media, with the pressure, you know, it's a lot to handle.
Exactly that. And it's a mentality factor that we have to look at with Tony, because I'm a bit more like you, King. I would trust him in terms of his ability on the pitch, what we can see from his game, his skill set, to be good enough for Arsenal. I think he's quick enough too. He's got a bit of mobility. He has to do a lot of pressing for Brentford. And as you said, with how many players Brentford have back, with their, it's more of a 5 at the back rather than 3 at the back with like wing backs. They do have a lot of width when they're going forward, but he has to slow it down. So yes, maybe that suits his game, and if we try to play a bit quicker, I think he does have the skill set, the touch. We've seen it with the little flicks with Mbeumo. We saw it against us at the first game of the season. But yeah, that's the question. Does he have the mentality to do it at a big club? But we'd have to wait and see. So yeah, I'd agree having him as a second choice striker. And Social asking a question here. One huge signing for each of you this summer, realistic? For me, I'll answer that quickly. Gabriel Jesus. I know he's been linked. I know he's hot off the flavour of the month at the moment, but I was liking these Gabriel Jesus links, even when there wasn't too much credibility about it, because of how much it would cost and the import and his Premier League experience. He's got goals to his game. I know he hasn't scored too much for City overall, but I think that's because of the rotation that City plays, played out on the wing a lot too. But if we had him as a central 9 who likes to drift out wide and coming in, and Martinelli coming on the inside, Saka's taking up central positions, I think that would be perfect for us. Social, would you agree with that? And even if you would agree, I'm going to still ask you for an alternative one, King. So yeah, let me know.
I would, if we get Champions League, I would try and sign Bellingham.
Oh, I love that.
I love Jude. I mean, I think he's a fantastic player. I think at his young age, he's still shown that he can play at the highest level. He's shown it in Champions League. He's shown it in Bundesliga. He's showing with England as well. And imagine a midfield with Bellingham, Odegaard, and Partey. It would take us to another level. Honestly, I would love to see him join us.
Oh, that's such a great shout, and that's one I've been championing myself as well, King. So, hey, I'm loving you even more now, King, after you saying that. Yeah, I would love Bellingham. That's my dream signing. Ed, you'll know that. Moss, Wilf, you'll all know that. That's my dream signing. And guys in the chat, that's King's hit the nail on the head. That's my dream, for sure. But big up to Nigerian Englishman, Niger man here saying, it's official, bro. I'm converted. Top 4 is on. Let's go. And he's also said, if we bought Ivan Toney and Jesus as our strikers, though, would you be happy with that? I like Toney. I see someone who can get on the end of crosses, but he usually plays in a 2, right? Yeah, he does play in a 2, but with that 2 that he has, Mbeumo takes up a lot of wide positions, and with our players and how we play, we would have players that are coming in and around him a lot with our wingers. When say if Tierney's fit, and even when Tavares is playing, of course,
Yeah.
our wingers tend to come inside a little bit more, especially if it's a Emile Smith role. He likes to link up with the strikers a lot. We've seen that with Lacazette at times, and it's looked like beautiful, fluid football, some similar to the Wenger days
Yeah.
with Laka and Emile Smith role. So I think he would. And the difference that Ivan Toney and Jesus bring is one's tall, physical, strong, powerful in the air, and the other's very mobile and very nippy in and around the box, can go wide, can play multiple positions, and we could play a Jesus and Tony combination too. So on a few occasions, and give Saka a rest and whatnot. Do you agree with that, King?
Yeah. I think what we've seen this year from Saka is that when he's tired and out of form, we
Yeah,
don't have anyone to replace him because him and Pepe are two so very different players. Saka can play and start as wide, while Pepe is more as a counter-attacking wide forward. He's not
yeah.
really a winger or midfielder, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly that. You are right. And Mister 200 says, like Tony as a player, personality though, I have reservations. Ed saying, I'm not convinced his touch is good enough for the fast link-up play Arsenal will play, but he's a good option. And anyone else in the chat got their thoughts on Tony? Ed saying Bellingham would be an amazing signing. Yeah, Ed, you know it as well. I put it in
Yeah,
our group chat before saying dream signing would be Bellingham. So I'm glad King said that. And that was cheeky. King wasn't expecting to hear that about Bellingham. Tony or Jesus, pick one. I'm picking Jesus if you had to pick one. What about yourself?
yeah, same. We know that Jesus has played in the Champions League. He's played in a big team. He's played under Pep, so I would
Yeah,
definitely take him.
exactly. And Social saying Lautaro Martinez, I would go all out for. I would too, because I think he brings a mixture in a way of what Jesus and Tony have
Yeah,
with his game. I know he doesn't. He's not like someone who's gonna, a prolific striker in terms of scoring. Like that's his game. He's got way more to that. He's very good at hold up play, like a Tony, and he's got mobility like a Jesus. So I like that one. And Sartvik says if Jesus is a lock, Tony or someone from outside like Osimhen. Yeah, Osimhen. What's your
yeah.
thoughts on Osimhen, King?
He's interesting, isn't he? He's a uni. He's so quick. He's almost like a prime Aubameyang type of player, where
Yes.
off the shoulder, pressing, high volume chances. So, and he's quite good in the air as well. I
Yeah.
think it depends. I think it depends also what Arteta wants to do. Like, does he want some more off the shoulder striker? Does he want more of a link up, or does he want someone who can do both? It depends. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't say no to Osimhen.
Exactly, it's true. And Jamie saying Tony not quick, but you don't need to be if you have a very creative midfield. I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
And Jude is Liverpool bound. It does seem that way, but if we can get there early, I don't think Liverpool will be signing Jude Bellingham until not this summer, coming the next one at the earliest. So if we can get there still and say, no, Jude, we'll build this team around you,
yeah,
maybe that could happen. But we'll move on into the other fixtures. And yeah, we still got Sunday's fixtures to go through, people. So don't go anywhere. Smash that like button if you are new. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button as well. But we'll talk about this one. This was huge in terms of the title race, and it was quite comfortable in the end. Manchester City winning by 5-1. The man we've just spoke about, Gabriel Jesus, so we won't spend too much time talking about him, scoring 4 goals in this game. I think he's scored more than Lacazette this season in one game.
yeah.
I
It's
saw,
crazy.
but the Kevin De Bruyne. Did you see the assist for the header?
He's a world class player.
I know,
Kevin De
right?
Bruyne is one of the best players in the world. And to all the pundits that were comparing him to Bruno Fernandes, shame on you. That's all I gotta say.
It's
Shame on
true.
you, honestly.
Well, I've got a question for you, King, in terms of Kevin De Bruyne. I'm going to ask all of you guys in the chat as well. Where does Kevin De Bruyne rank in the Premier League's all-time midfielders?
Well, we have to say now he's up there now because in terms of impact, longevity, titles, match-winning player, he's up there with your Lampard, with your Gerrard, with your Fabregas. He's really up there. We can't deny it anymore. I know that we love Lampard, we love Scholes, we love
Yeah.
Gerrard, but Kevin De Bruyne is on that level for me, honestly. I think he's a bit underrated even. I think
Oh, 100%.
if he was English, it would be a bit more hype around him.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like the injuries has probably been also a factor in terms of how people see Kevin De Bruyne, but his impact on that pitch with goals as well. He's like a striker for them in a way. The amount of goals he scores, the assists, and how he drives the ball. He was definitely the best player in the Premier League match between Manchester City and Liverpool, for sure. So that was interesting to see. And yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, excellent performance from him. And then there is one Bruno that we will talk about, as Josh said earlier in the chat. Let me try and find this because, you know, I big up Josh every time. Where was it now? We do talk about our Bruno Guimaraes and Newcastle. 3 goals again, and another two Brazilians doing it in the Premier League. Did you see that Joe Linton first goal?
Yeah, I saw all the goals, the highlights. I
Yeah.
didn't watch the game. I saw the highlights, and we missed out on Bruno. Honestly, it's painful because we really needed him, and it would have helped us that we could focus on other positions during the summer. And I just felt like the money that we were willing to put on Blahovic,
Yeah.
take half of that, and you get Bruno.
Exactly. You're so right with that Bruno Guimaraes and the dink, the nice little bit of flair, but winning the ball
Sauce.
back, pressing high. He would that. I look at that and you can see, oh, you could definitely do that in an Arsenal shirt. How he progresses the ball in the midfield, which is, I think, that's what we're lacking right now with Thomas Partey's injury. I can understand why Arsenal are reluctant to go for him because, you know, whilst we have Thomas Partey, he's always going to be a starter. But I feel like he could have been an upgrade on Xhaka too, and maybe have a rotational spot with Xhaka. And yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, excellent. And you've got a real player in your hands, Josh, for sure. And he's already becoming like a hero at Newcastle. But let me see what everyone else is saying in the chat right now. Big up to Rich in the place. This is Luca's life. I feel Curtis De Bruyne was the best, exactly like that. De Bruyne is an exceptional football player. What he does for Manchester City as well as his leadership in a year in, year out is phenomenal. Exactly, CM. Good point to bring up the leadership as well as being a captain for them. Jesus is a player I've always liked, and I would love him at Arsenal. I don't think we will need to break the bank exactly, which is why it's a no-brainer for me to go for him. Ed saying KDB, outstanding player. He's up there with the Premier League greats for me in 100%. I think he's top 5 in midfield. He's sorting that out. We'll probably have to do a whole video on that.
I know.
We'll have
we
to
need
get
to
you
do
in for
that.
another draft, man.
No worries. We can do it during the
Exactly.
summer. It will be interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, KDB's ridiculous. And Sartvik saying all-time top 5 behind Gerrard, Bergkamp, Lampard and Scholes. Yeah, I wouldn't class Bergkamp as a midfielder. And nowadays he probably would be in that number 10 role. But yeah...
I wouldn't put Bergkamp as a midfielder either. I see him more as a number 10, you know, that your Özils, your Juan Mata, that kind of players, Cantona, you know, we've seen them.
We'll get to that one, bro. Don't worry about that because it's a huge result for Burnley. Unfortunately, it's against your side. And would you take a quick one on this, Tammy? For you, Tammy Abraham, I would hold out.
I think the problem is for me that if we wanted Tammy, we should have signed him in the summer. For what he will cost and what he will bring, I don't think we will get value for money.
That's
exactly just my opinion.
That's why I agree. It's not to do with him as a player. I just feel like how much it cost. I think we've seen how it's affected Lukaku even. And that's, I do like him. He's a goal scorer. I think there's still things in his game that he still needs to work on and build and get more well-rounded in terms of technically outside the box. But and if you're going to pay the money that's required for Tammy Abraham, it's the same reason for Darwin Nunez for me. What about you? I still think I want to see more.
For me, I think people underestimate how physical the Premier League is, and the level from the Portuguese league to the Premier League is a massive step. I need to see him do more, especially in-game play. He is a talent, but we need someone who's more than a talent, if you get what I mean. We need someone who's ready because We want to become a Champions League team consistently. We don't just want to get top 4 this year and then next year we drop out.
There you go. And that's what we need to be looking at as well, building this side. I feel like we are taking that Manchester City route in terms of how we're trying to build this side. We've seen it with the transition from the 4-2-3-1 into the 4-3-3 for sure. And Tammy, would he do well at City? Maybe, with the amount of chances he'd create. But yeah, in terms of the other things in his game, we'd have to have a look and really need to work on. But hey, Mikel Arteta could surely develop that in him. And Social saying, Tammy, way too much costing involved right now. Move on. Exactly. Jesus, 100%. Kingopedia on footy. After Louis said, not going to lie, King knows all. So you get it. I'm
Thank
telling
you,
you, man, the
guys.
TTF,
Thank
we're
you,
loving
guys.
it.
You guys are too
Exactly.
nice, honestly.
We won't talk too much on Leicester, Aston Villa. But I just wanted to say, Aston Villa, they're in a sticky situation right now, aren't they, King? I think they're silently trying to get themselves involved in that relegation battle.
No wins in 5 games. Not a lot of noise on their boy Gerard. There was a lot of
Exactly.
hype on him. It was gonna evolve them, but I haven't seen it yet. I think it's very hard to judge. You know, when you come from Scotland, it's either
Yeah.
Rangers or Celtic. And yes, he
Yeah.
did well there, but he's left them and they're still doing well. And they're even doing better in Europe this season. So
Yeah.
how good is he
It's
as a
very true.
manager?
It's very true. And they've signed a lot of experienced players as well, which is what I think people are forgetting. With Aston Villa, the signings that they made, it's not, they weren't building to have a slow rebuild in that way. They were building for the now in time,
Yeah,
signing Digne, signing Coutinho on loan. And even if you do take the option to sign him, he's going to turn 30 soon.
yeah.
Who else? Callum Chambers as well.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
Danny Ings, they signed Danny Ings,
Ashley Young too.
Ashley Young as well. They signed a lot of senior players. I don't think they signed one player who was 23 or younger.
Exactly that. Yeah, I think the youngest was maybe Buendia,
Yeah, and he's
maybe at
25,
24.
right?
Yeah, 24, 20. I think you're right. He might be 25. So, and that's it. And that's what I'm saying. That's someone that you expect to really hit the ground running. And I'm just having a look at the points right now in terms of Aston Villa. They are what? 8 points behind Everton, 8 points in
Yeah.
front of Everton. Sorry. So,
I think they're
yeah,
fine.
they might be safe, but as you
Yeah.
said, that they haven't won a game in 5. Look at that.
Yeah.
They lost to West Ham, lost to Arsenal, lost to Wolves, lost to Spurs and drew in their last 5. So yeah, be careful with Aston Villa for sure. But into the next fixture now, let me go back and let's go back into the results. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the fixtures. I've gone too far back, people. I think we'll move on into the Sunday games now. And we'll talk about that Merseyside derby. I did a match reaction on the channel, my first match reaction in a while. So yeah, go check that out if you're a Liverpool fan. Indeed, I kind of broke down how the game went and the tactics that Liverpool and Everton were deploying. But King, what was your thoughts on this game in particular, which Liverpool won by 2-0? Divock Origi again.
Yeah, I know. He loves to score important goals and he loves to score against Everton. I
Yeah,
mean, if you were putting a bet, you would put a bet that he would score against Everton. And
yeah, for
he
sure.
always does. I mean, for me, this season, I don't know about you, but what impressed me with Jurgen Klopp is that I feel like he's evolved his football. Before it was a lot of heavy metal, a lot of pressing, running, counter-attacking goals. But we see Liverpool now with triangles, ball possession teams, breaking down teams with passing. I mean, I'm so impressed by him. And he's doing it with less budget than Man City, uh, less squad than Man City, but he's still competing with them and he could win the quadruple. I think not enough respect is put on what Jurgen Klopp has done for Liverpool.
It's one. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head again there, King. Liverpool have added more strings to their bow. What we saw with Liverpool when they won the title in that year, they had a very functional midfield, but they were so effective on creativity out in the wings. That
Yeah.
midfield, they would work really hard. You'd see late runs from Gini Wijnaldum from time to time, scoring goals. But now Thiago, now
Yeah.
he's fit and having a run of games. We're seeing more creativity in those central areas, which is Everton really compact the midfield and how they tried to nullify the creativity out wide and in the midfield. They gave up a lot of possession. 83% possession Liverpool had, and
Crazy.
Everton just seemed to tire towards the end. But they're making those substitutions like Divock Origi, Luis Diaz, having a massive impact on the game. And that's just the depth that Liverpool now have, isn't it?
It's the difference now. Now they got Konate, they got Thiago, they got Diaz. These are better players than they had before. And that's why it's so important for Arsenal this season. I can't urge it enough to buy quality players who fits in what Arteta wants to do. And that's why my eyes is on Edu to see what he can do. But honestly, Liverpool, it's going to be interesting to follow the title race. Who do you think will win?
Oh, great question, King. Guys in the chat, let me know your thoughts. Just put in there, who do you think will win the title? I think now it will be Manchester City's. I don't see them slipping up, and I don't see Liverpool slipping up either. But with the fixtures that Manchester City have, the only thing that I can see stopping them is injuries to someone like a Kevin De Bruyne, and maybe they will drop points in one of those games. They've got Wolves, I know, and that's probably their next toughest fixture. But yeah, Wolves haven't been in great form. We'll talk about them. Sorry, Ed. But yeah, I think City will win it. What about your thoughts?
I'm gonna be controversial. I'm gonna say Liverpool. I feel like the momentum is there. I feel like the whole city is behind them. I just feel like something special is happening there, obviously. And all it takes is Man City to draw one game and Liverpool are past them. But honestly, this is what we want to see: proper title race, not like in Germany when Bayern Munich wins it every year. Like it's boring.
100. You're so right. Like, we've got so much to play for in the Premier League right now. I saw on TC's channel, he was saying to James, this is one of the best Premier League seasons ever. We have to be honest because we're getting a title race, we're getting a top four battle, and we've got a relegation one on our hands. It's rare to have all of them at this point in the season.
Definitely. And you just have to enjoy it. And I think this is the future now for Premier League, because I think every year we will have a couple of teams fighting for top four, fighting for relegation. The question is, who will be the next team who can go on and get into a title race?
There you go. You're right. Who is that going to be? We'll have to wait and see, people. We'll have to, because it's getting interesting, because it looks like Chelsea may be falling off. We'll get into them too. But before we do that, we'll go into the comments, because we've got plenty of comments to run through, people. Thank you so much for your engagement so far. It's been excellent. You guys have been brilliant. And if you can smash that like button and tell a friend to subscribe to the channel too, that would be very much appreciated. And big up to King as well for coming on. And we've got more to run through before we wrap it up. Everyone was worried about Aston Villa taking over Arsenal before the season started. Yeah, they looked at the signings. They thought Villa would continue that progression and we wouldn't progress somehow. And they wasn't too impressed with our signings. Villa beat Arsenal in the transfer window. You're right, Social. But this is why football is played on paper. I mean, on grass, not paper. Villa did the Bale with, yes, they did. It's a good point there, Ed. They did the Bale with the Grealish money and flopping big time. I can't believe my eyes last night. Newcastle already in the top half of the league. Exactly. And it's just started there. Sartvic putting out some good players there who are standouts for Aston Villa. Jacob Ramsey and Matty Cash being the standouts. Others very average. Would you take Jacob Ramsey and Matty Cash?
I wouldn't take Matty Cash. I would. And the reason is because I believe that we need if we're going to sign another right back, he needs to be able to defend, because the problem is with Tomiyasu. I don't know if you know this, but he's been injury prone even before he joined Arsenal. So he misses out a lot of games because of his calf. And the team balance, when he wasn't there, you could see it. And affect Tierney, the way Tierney wants to play. And if Tierney can't play, it's going to affect the way Nuno wants to play. So I want a more solid defensive right back. But Jacob Ramsey, if we can't get Bellingham, he would be my next.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he's a quality player. And I think we are missing someone who can take the ball from midfield sometimes and just run at people. You know, we had that with Aaron Ramsey before, but We haven't had that for a while. We have the passing with Odegaard, but we need some. Sometimes the game is locked. It's a low block. You just need that player who comes in the second run and just bangs in goals. And I think he can be that player.
Yes, 100%. I do like that shout, Jacob Ramsey. Another player that kind of seems like, Liverpool would be in and around. But if
Yeah.
we're looking for the same players as them, we got to take that and be glad. And Social also asks, will there be another manager sacked before the end of the season? Conte to PSG doesn't count. Hey, Social, whilst Watford are in the league, you never know. Everton, maybe Frank Lampard if they were brave. I don't know. I feel like it's too late, but Burnley have proven that it's never too late. I think either Watford or not Burnley, Watford or Everton. If
Yeah, I would
they're
say
not brave.
one of them too. I wouldn't be surprised because if Everton could, let's say if Everton lose their next two games, they could sack him because they could feel like they are going down, but they still have an opportunity to stay up. So why not try and save the season? And with Watford, they can sack the manager any day, anytime. That's just what they do.
Exactly. It's so true. That is, you never know. It's a ticking time bomb, that job already, which is what a lot of people said about Chelsea. And speaking of Chelsea, I think, Ed, you've raised it. You've raised the point. We'll get into that. But before that, Conte and Poch job swap in the summer. I can see that happening. And so, yeah, that's literally what Social said right there. We're burning right to sack Sean Dyche. We'll get into that as well, Sartvik. I'll make sure I star
Good
these comments
questions.
right here. It's great questions, people. Big up to Roland. Big up Pros Only TV Sport. Pros Only Sports. Big up, man. Hope you're keeping well, Roland. And yes, yeah, and that Social's response to that, into that question, we'll talk about that too. And CM saying Man City thinks we'll win the league. Yeah, just fixture advantage, says Louis. City, surely. Mr. 200 is also agreeing with you there, King, saying I'm on Liverpool. I think Man City still have it in them to slip up. And Mr. Roland himself says, I think City will win the title and Liverpool for the Champions League.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
if
I
Liverpool win
think
the
the opposite, actually. I
Oh,
think,
really?
yeah, because I think if City is in a space where they can win the Champions League, Pep needs a Champions League title.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
does. Yeah.
the fact
Before
that
he
he
leaves.
hasn't won it after he left Barcelona, and he's a fantastic manager, there's no doubt, but that's probably the best team we've ever seen in football history.
Yeah, it's
And to
true.
not be able to repeat that is on him. He knows that and he wants that Champions League. But it's gonna be interesting to see.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And we'll quickly run through the remaining fixtures.
Yeah.
In Brighton, Southampton being 2-2. I just want to say, sending out best wishes for Valentino Livramento. He picked up a
Oh
serious knee
yeah.
injury in that
So
game. I saw it on the socials afterwards because I saw the goals, I saw the highlights.
what do you make of James Ward-Prowse?
Oh, James Ward-Prowse, great question. And King, you've asked such a good one. Ed is in a great. Oh, I didn't mean to remove you there. Sorry.
No.
I meant to get that off the screen. And Ed, who's not a big fan of James Ward-Prowse, but I think he's winning him over now. I would take him at Arsenal. I wouldn't. He's really proven to me this season that he's shown a little bit something else to his game in terms of scoring those goals. Those set pieces are deadly. Another free kick goal for James Ward-Prowse. I like him. If he did come to Arsenal though, I feel like he'd be more of a Granit Xhaka replacement and be a rotational option in midfield. I think he'd bring the right character and personality in terms of his leadership too. But yeah, I'm not too. I heard Tom say earlier on, I think he'd take him over Tielemans. Not for me. But what's your thoughts on James Ward-Prowse, King?
Yeah, I like him. Do you know what I like with James is that every season he improves. He seems to be a player who's very dedicated to football and he works a lot on his weaknesses and he's become a very good passer. He passes the ball excellently. It's not just the set pieces now, and he presses a lot. He's disciplined and he has the character. The only thing is that if we become a Champions League team,
Mm.
is he good enough? And is he even better than Granit? I know that they're two different players, but I wouldn't say no. But for
Mm.
me, if we bring James Ward-Prowse in, we need to bring in another player as well.
Exactly. Agreeing with you again. I'm waiting to disagree. I'm with King. That's what I'm waiting for. And Sartvik says 2 free kicks a season, 5 to 6 deadly deliveries in the box, defensively solid. What's not to like with JWP? Exactly, Sartvik. And those goals could be vital for us in terms of what we're chasing next season. And so Social saying T taking out the competition. Watch out, King. I didn't
Biggest
mean to.
fan.
Exactly. He's too good, man. Hey, King, you've been smashing it so far, man.
Cheers,
And in terms of the final games, we'll talk about the 1-0s for Burnley and Chelsea. Burnley quickly, King. Do you think Burnley are going to stay up now? That's the question.
I always thought they were gonna stay up. I was surprised that they sacked Sean Dice, but obviously they've sacked him. It's probably something going on internally because they didn't sack him because they were gonna go down. I think he clashed with the owners. I
Yeah.
think he's complained a lot of seasons. You could see that there was tension there, and I don't think they had the same vision on what they want with Burnley, and
Mm.
probably had to go. But I think they'll stay up. I think so because they are used to being there. They have that experience, while Everton don't, and they didn't bring in a manager who could fight relegation. So I think for Everton to stay up, it would be probably Richarlison would need to save them.
Yeah. Well, I thought I agree with you on that, and it's a very good point that I've not really thought about actually when you said about Burnley with Sean Dyche, because Burnley have had new owners recently, which is why we've seen the likes of Maxwell Cornet, Wout Weghorst coming into the side, and it's like, whoa, Burnley
Yeah.
making signings that we don't expect them to make because they do
Mhm.
have new owners in charge,
Mm.
and maybe the difference of opinion
Yeah.
with Sean Dyche and the owners has been a contributing factor into their poor season. But yeah, I think it is off the field issues as well. Now you've raised a good point. Wolves, they just need a striker, don't they? They just need to
Yeah.
get more goals,
They
similar to
need,
what we were facing at one point.
yeah, they need goal scorers. They kind of remind me a bit of Arsenal that they structurally, defensively, they're solid, but in the attack, the wingers, I like Podence, but he doesn't score a lot of goals. Adama Traore was there before, he doesn't score a lot of goals. Trincao doesn't score a lot of goals. And what's the other winger that's it's
Pedence,
Portuguese, but's
Pedence,
been
Neto.
yeah, Neto. I like Neto a lot, but he's been injured. He doesn't score a lot. I think Jimenez, since he had that injury, is not the same player anymore. And then that young lad, I think the kid that they bought from
Oh, Fabio
Portugal.
Silva.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm not sure if he's the guy.
Yeah, there's still a lot to prove, and I know Ed's thoughts on Fabio Silva. He's like he likes him as a player, and he's
Mm,
still young. He's still in his early teens, which you know what we've seen at Arsenal with that striker position. It's hard to play as a
mm,
forward, and in this very physical Premier League, as you mentioned too,
mm,
as a teenager, a big price tag to pay. It was very
mm.
much a weird signing to make because I don't think he made more than 10 appearances for Porto as well
No,
at the
no,
time.
no.
So yeah, not someone that you want to be splashing £35 million on. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. He may still come good, but it's not look. His jury's definitely out. And just to wrap up before we get into the comments, people, we will get into them. Don't worry about that. Just Chelsea versus West Ham, last minute winner from Christian Pulisic after Jorginho. The hop, skip, and the jump penalties this weekend weren't working. I think everyone's found them out.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like it. But for me, with Chelsea, do you think the fact that Tuchel had a divorce that's
Mm.
had an impact on how he's as a manager for them? Because he used to be very stable. I was impressed this season, in his interview, he was very stable, very honest, but now he's changed. He seems very rattled, and then the sanctions and players leaving, he seems to be very frustrated, and they're not playing well. Chelsea, they were lucky, and this was a West Ham who didn't play with their best players, who bench a lot of players, had a lot of players out of injury, and been playing a lot in Europe. They were lucky.
100%, man. And I think these are things in football that we don't really take a lot into consideration because as football fans, we look at what players are doing on the pitch and we don't think that, oh, maybe the we are privy to these things with the modern day social media and whatnot, and how media is in sport. We know a lot of these things, and I think everything, a collection of that. As you said, his divorce, his personal life, how things are being at Chelsea. I've seen a different side to him, like with after the Arsenal game, blaming the pitch.
Yeah.
He was blaming everything. He was everything, and he was rattled. For sure, man.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And Lukaku hasn't had matters either, has he? That interview was so unnecessary.
Exactly. It was ridiculous. And he's had so much being put onto him. And we've seen that as Arsenal fans, how that could have an effect on a manager indeed. So I feel Chelsea probably just done enough now to get third space and get themselves out of the top four race. Do you think?
Yeah. I think Chelsea are lucky that the season are ending. I think if there were more games left, they would struggle to get top four. I think
Yeah.
they need the season to end as soon as possible. But I think it will be them and us. I think who'll get the Champions League spots.
Exactly. And so sure, I had to put this comment up because I think you're right.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like when Klopp, was going a bit mad.
Yeah.
And he was saying those similar type of things and getting a bit antsy with the refs. And in the interviewers after his mom died, exactly. And Tuchel does seem quite riled up in the interviews. Yes, blame the pitch as well. I know, ridiculous. But I think we wrapped them all. We've talked about them all. And West Ham, do you think we'll just have a quick word on West Ham? Do you think they'll win the Europa League?
Oh, you know what? Some part of me kind of want them to win so they can
Same.
banter Spurs and be like, even
Exactly.
we
They're
are
not
winning
really good.
titles, It will
Yeah.
be
But I don't want
fun
them
to
coming
see.
to us. No,
But
stay in Spurs.
relax, West Ham, relax.
Yeah, relax. That's it. Exactly that. But guys, in the comments, we'll run through them all and then we'll wrap up right here because I've got to jump on another stream. Big up Realist. I'll be jumping on his afterwards. So let's have a look. We got to this one here. Did Ed manage to remove King after the Ward-Prowse question? King, what we've been talking about Burnley and James Ward-Prowse. Me and Ed do the preview shows for the weekend with the predictions. And what happened was I always ask, I know Ed's not a big fan of James Ward-Prowse. There's a few, he has a few players that he's not really great fans of and he thinks are overrated. Not that he doesn't think they're good players. Ward-Prowse, Mason Mount are a couple. And he said he thought Burnley are going to go down. And every time he's predicted Burnley to lose, they've ended up grabbing a point or winning. And every time he's picked Burnley to win, they drop points. That's why Mr. 200's like, did Ed manage to remove him? It was my fault, Mr. 200. It was indeed.
But my question to Ed is, how often does he actually watch Ward-Prowse? Because the thing is, 2-3 seasons ago, the way he was playing football and now it's a massive change and massive improvement. I do think he's a solid player now.
Yeah, it's true. Because we don't really watch a lot of Southampton. And we probably see him on the highlights and whatnot. And maybe what we've seen of him, as you said, 2 years ago when he was making his England appearances. I think that's probably where a lot of people's reservations come with James Ward-Prowse. But you are right. I have seen a development in his game going forward, especially not just playing the simple passes. And, we think of James Ward-Prowse. A lot of people think set pieces, but there's more to his game than that. And it's like Granit Xhaka. When people say Granit Xhaka, you think, slow and yellow cards.
Red cards, yeah.
Yellow and red cards, exactly that.
But it's more to,
If you need to sign another player with JWP, he's clearly not good enough. I think I understand your analogy as well. You wouldn't buy a new car, think, I need to buy another one to supplement this new car. But with Arsenal, with the amount of players that we're losing, Ed, I think that we probably do need to sign 2 players in midfield anyway who are good enough to start. It depends on Granit Xhaka for me because we've let Ainsley Maitland-Niles go. Mohamed El-Neni most likely going to be leaving in the summer too. And we already needed a central midfielder on top of them. Do you agree with that, King?
Yeah, for me, we need 2. And the reason why is, for me, Lokonga is not ready yet. And we don't actually know how good he's going to be. I would loan him out. And that's why I would bring in 2 new players. Because Partey gets injuries. Granny gets suspensions here and there. And if you're going to play Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League, you need a squad. And
Yeah.
the Premier League, the quality increases every season. And Man United gonna sign players. Spurs are gonna sign players. Leicester probably trying to get back. West Ham are gonna try and improve more. So we need a big squad. We
Mm.
really do that. And we've seen this year, if we had a big squad, we would have secured top four by now.
Oh yeah, exactly that, and that's what's been our downfall in how we've taken too long to bounce back after injuries or illness and whatnot. We've seen it at the start of the season when our players were suffering with COVID in the first 3 games. We
Yeah,
saw it in that December period, January period mainly. We had that
yeah,
little
yeah,
patch at the start of December, but I don't think that was mainly to do with injuries. But
yeah,
the one was, yeah, as you said, that start of the season and January, and then the 3 games about two,
yeah,
3 games ago. So
yeah,
yeah, and Wang Hee-chan was good for a while. He's also someone who struggled with injuries as well this season. He had a very good start and one of their few goal scorers indeed. And this is it. I got the questions. I got a few of your questions starred, and yet were Bernie right? We answered that one. And on the Lukaku thing, he has scored goals wherever he was, international level even. For me, it's the fact Chelsea don't play his style. He clearly not good enough, but this team doesn't suit him at all. Correct. And social on the Sean Dice question, he had to go. Time spent at a club doesn't mean you're untouchable 100%. They have an important summer with outgoings, new era for them. And then there was another question from Sartvik. Which club in the Premier League leads in goals scored on the counter attack? Who would you think? My
I have
first
two
guess.
teams in my head.
I think Crystal Palace might be one.
I reckon Liverpool
True.
or Spurs.
Good
But
point. Yeah.
and the reason is because Liverpool scored so many goals, and they score a lot on the counter sometimes as well. But it would be interesting to know.
Yeah, give us the answer, Sartvik. Yeah, I've gone with Crystal Palace because they have scored a few goals, and I feel like a lot of them would have come in transition for how Crystal Palace play.
Yeah,
So yeah, but yeah, I think King's probably right because those teams have scored more, and they are very good in transition. Liverpool, we know it, best club in the world in transition, best
yeah,
team,
it's
sorry,
true.
and then Spurs. That's the only way they seem to score.
Yeah,
So yeah, and why not says pressure at Arsenal back in the day? Yes, when he was successful, but now it's not. He's not. He's not a big Arteta fan.
I
Uh,
could tell. I could tell.
indeed, 3 midfielders: Sal Xhaka, no sentimentality, cut the burden loose. He says in there as well. Social saying Arthur Okonkwo, keep him third choice next season or loan him out. He was in high demand by some big clubs before he got that illness a couple of years ago. Ruined in pre-season, unfortunately. Yeah, it's interesting with this one. I'll let King answer it first, and then I'll give my thoughts afterwards. So, King, what would you do
I
with Arthur?
I would loan him out, honestly. I think he needs to play senior football. He needs to play week in and week out. And then we can make an assessment. Is he good enough? Do we need to sell him? Because being third choice keeper and playing under 23s, it's not going to develop anymore. He's too good for that.
Yeah, that's my answer for it because like I think he's good enough as a player to play as a third choice, but to get the guy to develop at the age he is, I think we do need to send him out on loan. And as a third choice keeper, I feel like if you're looking at how Man City and Liverpool have done it, their third choice has been a veteran goalkeeper, someone who's almost close to retirement, like Scott Carson, Adrian. They
Yeah.
had like Andy Lonergan as well. And
Yeah.
Man United, I'm not saying we need to copy what they're doing,
Yeah.
but they've got a Tom Heaton and a Lee
Yeah.
Grant, and that's their third choice. And it's someone who, yeah, he can play in goal, but it's someone who's more like in terms of camaraderie, probably getting their coaching badges whilst they're at the club in the training ground. So yeah, I think that's what we should do with our third choice keepers is have a veteran goalkeeper, and the young ones need to go out and play, like Carl Hein is at Reading as well. Where will Eddie Nketiah end up next season? I'm guessing Crystal Palace. Do you think? Where do you
I
think he's
think
going to be at
Germany.
Arsenal? He's Germany,
I think
Mönchengladbach,
so.
do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because the thing is, if he goes to Palace, it's no guarantee that he will be a starter. It's
True.
not even a guarantee that he will be on the bench. They have a lot of attacking threat. I know that they like him. But he's at an age as well where he needs to play week in, week out. So if I'm him, I go Germany. But
Yeah.
Crystal Palace is a good shout.
Exactly. And why not saying loan Okonkwo, and he's adding Tavares and Lokonga to that? Would you loan I don't know about Tavares, because I don't think, well, I understand what you're saying, why not? Like, he definitely does need to develop if he's going to be a starting left back, but I don't think we're going to address that left back position in the summer. So I think he will still be here. And when we have had Tomiyasu, I think that with Tavares, he has looked okay because he's had that defensive stability out on the right. But with Lokonga, King, would you loan Lokonga? Because I think
Yeah,
that's a bit
I've
difficult.
said it. If we can get in two central mids, I would loan him out because I think with Lokonga, he came from Belgium, very highly rated, lots of praise. And we could see in the beginning of the season that he has qualities. He's not like a bad player, but mentally and the intense of the Champions League. And next year is going to be more pressure on Arsenal because there was no expectation that we were going to get Champions League this season. Next year, the expectation would be if we get Champions League, we need to stay in the Champions League and we need to perform in the Champions League and we need to perform in the league. And maybe it's too much for him to handle. And it's better to loan him out where he can play and then have a whole season, even if it is to like a Brighton or, just a Premier League team, just to get more Premier League experience. I think it would be a good move for both parties.
Certainly agree with you on that. Yeah, I think you've convinced me to say and put him out on loan. And as you said, in like having that step up in quality in the Champions League, Liverpool and Man City. Man City don't actually have as much squad depth as people think, but in the area that they do have a lot of depth in, it's that midfield, and that's the engine room of the side, and in how Arteta's playing as well. We're trying to get to those levels, and it is a lot of energy being expended. We need replacements in that midfield. Some Partey's injury prone, unfortunately, since he's been in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Granit Xhaka needs to be rotated. Even Ødegaard will have to have a bit of rotation at points too.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that, and that might be a step too far for Lokonga next season. So yeah, and so the answer to it is Arsenal and West Ham. So those of you that stayed for it, you hear that now. Arsenal and West Ham with the most counter-attacking goals this season with 6.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm thinking about that now. We have scored quite a few, haven't we? With that transition. With Aubameyang flicking the ball around the corner to Smith Rowe, like against Spurs and against Villa.
Yeah. You're right. I think sometimes maybe what we see as counter-attacking and what is actually counted as counter-attacking in stats is different. But it's interesting that we score a lot in transition.
Exactly that.
It's good to see.
But guys, social, I definitely agree with that, and that would be a good one. He's a very good goal. I think he'd be a very good third choice. Lokonga to Brentford, indeed, it would make sense. And Tavares is a terrible left back, can't defend. He's as bad as Telles. Tavares seems more of a winger than defender. Alanga roasted him, and he's rubbish. He says he's crap. But yes, people, we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you for all watching. King, you're an absolute legend. Thank you for joining on, my bro. And honestly, let the people know where they can find you, man.
First of all, thank you for having me on, guys. This was my first time here, and it's been great. Honestly, I've enjoyed it. You can find me on SFitly TV, and we'll see. Probably be back here a couple of times as well.
For sure, man. You're more than welcome to come on. Yeah, man, for sure. Join the Discord server as well, King, man.
I will.
We've got plenty of TGT people in there, and Socials just joined, and we got a great community building so far. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on, King. Guys, we're going to wrap this up now. I'll be jumping over on Realist Stream, so if you want to catch me over there, up on Twitch, Realist United, I'll be on there now. He's probably mad because I've got overtime. No, it's been great, King. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Any time, man. You've been amazing. Thank you to everybody in the chat. And big up yourself, Social, saying thank you, chaps. King was amazing to get him on more. I will definitely. Exactly, people. It's been amazing. We're going to be out now. I'll love and leave you. I'll be back later on. Make sure you stay tuned. Hit that post notification button, and we'll be talking Champions League stuff. So catch you later, people. And we are out. I'm just looking for the outro again. Peace.